Step up to the Oki and win on TalkSport.
Your chance to win is coming your way. We're a week away from the TalkSport Darts Presenter Trophy, and we're giving you the chance to be there. You and a mate could be the only members of the public allowed in next Wednesday, the 10th of December, in London. 8 of TalkSport's biggest names take to the Oki. You could be there with us, rubbing shoulders with your favourite TalkSport presenters. The very next day, you'll be heading to the opening day of the PDC World Darts Championship. 2 nights in a hotel will be covered, and £2,500 will be yours in cash. For your chance to win, just text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2 plus your standard network rate. You can call 0343 423 9761. Lines close today at 4 p.m. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. This is a network promotion and full terms and conditions apply, and they're available for you at talksport.com. Yeah, just to mark your card, we're talking a little bit there with Sean Martin about the World Cup draw on tomorrow.
He's looking more like Ming the Merciless these days, isn't he?
Is it the green? 4 p.m. tomorrow, we've got World Cup Drive here on TalkSport. The draw for the 2026 World Cup taking place during the show. Going to be Stuart Pearce in the studio, Alan Pardew's going to be in the studio, Charlie Mulgrew, Andy Brassel, the European football expert, will be here as well. There's full, extensive coverage of the draw. England and Scotland and the rest of the nations find out their opponents. That's tomorrow from 4. And then from 7 tomorrow night, Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent bring you the World Cup after party as they give you the best reaction with a host of special guests and exclusive interviews as well. That's tomorrow on TalkSport. Saturday on TalkSport, we've got a big game for you. Aston Villa against Arsenal. Aston Villa winning last night. They take on an Arsenal team, 18 games unbeaten. But they lost both Christian Mosquera and Declan Rice to injury yesterday. And when you add that into Saliba, Gabriel Havertz and Trossard, injuries seem to be beginning to bite. This is Mikel Arteta speaking to us afterwards.
The thing is playing a lot of minutes, but as well when. Now we play Wednesday night and we have to play Saturday morning as well. We can play minutes, but if they can please give us just a little bit more time to recover and to make the welfare of these players a little bit easier, that would be great. We can help the players and everybody, the league and everybody, to do what we have to do. Give us another day, and especially the teams that are playing so much in Europe. To everybody in general, I think if we can do that, because we're all going to benefit to that. We never had such a schedule at every level, not only in the Premier League, but every competition internationally as well. So we need to try to do that, please. Because I think it's common sense. I think it's not at some point this becomes too much, and the players are not machines.
Do you understand where he is coming from? They played on Wednesday, yesterday. Now they play Aston Villa at 12:30. Then they go to Brugge to play in the Champions League the following Wednesday. But then they do get an 8 o'clock Saturday night kickoff the following week. And then there's 7 days between their next games. What do you make of it?
Well, I mean, they probably have some veracity in the observations about how it affects the performance. But that's the schedule and that's the nature of the beast. And ultimately, it's not designed to just facilitate outcomes for the biggest clubs that are getting the best rewards, the most money, and the Champions League berth. That's not what it's designed to ultimately achieve. You have to get the balance right, because we all know, really, when it comes down to it, that the Premier League's value is pretty much enshrined in the broadcast value around 6 or 7 clubs. We know the Premier League is a very valuable league, and we know it's a very competitive league, but the marketing rights of the Premier League are really enhanced by the Arsenals, Liverpools, Manchester Uniteds, Chelsea's, Tottenhams, and Manchester City's.
So don't we want to make life easier for them?
Well, that's the argument. But then the other side of the argument, and that's a reasonable argument, because we know that everyone benefits from that. Well, high tide, all boats rise. The other side of the argument is how do other boats rise if they don't have the revenue streams? Because the PRS has been engaged by these clubs. These clubs have enabled a cabal to be kept in place so that no one else can join their gang. So they get the benefits of all the revenue streams that are there, because they're already at 500, 600 million pound turnovers. The Newcastles of the world can't join their gang because they can't buy their way into that gang in the same way that Man City and Chelsea did previously. So the Newcastles of the world have to stay in their lane, stay in their place, can't get the talent, can't get the resources around them to be able to compete with Man City and to Arsenal and other sides now that are now there with the track dog pulled up. And so what they want is it all. They want all of the revenue, all of the upsides of being a big club, and none of the consequences of it, which is ultimately that the broadcasters want you on television, they want you in those slots, and they want you to be the poster boys for the league. So he's right in one respect, but he's also not ignoring the fact that you get the biggest squads, the best players, the biggest wage bills, the best opportunity to compete in the leagues, and it comes with a price. And unfortunately, unless you're going to tell us how that works, unless you're going to tell us how we can repackage football to acknowledge the existence of individual requirements for individual football clubs. If you're Brentford, Palace, other sides, not so much Palace this season because they were obviously playing in Europe, but if you're other clubs that don't have quite the schedule, but don't have the resource, don't have the depth of squad, don't have the quality of player, don't have the talent pool that you've got in your squad that could probably fill most teams with your second string 11, you're going to sit there and go, on the other side of it, you're going to sit there and go, well, we know we get the collective benefit of your wonderful brand around the world being carried and broadcast rights being at such a level that we all get some drip down economics out of it. It's an imperfect world. It's you're not going to square this circle. He is not going. What is the purpose of that? They are not going to change your fixture on Saturday. So what is the purpose of it?
The other question is obviously they spent quite a lot of money in the summer and he's got a very deep squad. In fact, I think he's got the best and most balanced squad in the Premier League. But yet, Ben White's only played a handful of games. Yep. Norgard could have started last night in place of Zubimendi, didn't do so.
But he looked brilliant last night, Ben White.
Madueke came into the starting lineup. He's been out for a little while and he was absolutely terrific last night. So, maybe he did need to rotate a little bit. He could have rested Declan Rice last night and played Norgard. Sure. Chose not to do that.
I mean, sure. I mean, I think he's right to play his best team to keep on cementing the opportunities that are in front of him, not do what Chelsea did.
But that's a choice.
It is a choice, which is why you want him to be quiet. But they're not going to. We've seeded this into their mentality now. We've indulged it. We patronised it. We lionise it. We turn around and give it sympathy and empathy. And we debate it rather than saying, shut up and get on with it. And the fact that we haven't done that in the past, and certain sections of the media will turn around and empathise with it without actually providing the counterbalance argument as to why it happens and what the benefits of being a big club are, that you've now seeded it into the mentality. You've now seeded it into the mentality that we've seeded it into football players' mentality. They mustn't be criticised. Because if they're criticised, it's unfair. If they're praised, it's okay. But if you criticise them, then it's unfair. It's hating. Not hating, it's called criticism. You get both in equal measure if people are fair in society. So the point is that, he could have changed. I mean, Ben White's an unfortunate set of circumstances. They turned him into a right back, then they got a better right back. And then they've got centre backs that now he can't displace.
That's football, though, isn't it?
But that's football. But he, and never was a more deserving individual. Couldn't be bothered to play for England. But the fact is that you've now got him back in the side looking like a world-class player, which he was last night. I thought he looked great last night. Ben, didn't you?
I thought going forward he was great. I thought some of his crossing a little bit awry.
Oh, okay.
But that's probably rustiness.
Yes.
I thought the combination with Madueke was very impressive.
Indeed it was.
And I thought they probably should have won by more. They should have been in front by half.
A job done.
Extra.
But a job
Absolutely.
done.
But you can see at the end of it, and I watched it, I was there. So at the end of it, they're all collapsing onto the floor because the physical output has been so hard. Yeah. Because Brentford made them work, and Brentford did a good job last night.
And that's right, and that's their job, because they can't match them technically, so they have to match them with other things and make them work and make these teams beat you, not give it to them. I mean, the interesting thing about Arteta, I don't know what, to Arsenal fans, I think what Arteta's done as a job at Arsenal has been fabulous without actually winning very much. Because we talk about Arsenal and their fan base and the library that it had become, and I went and watched Arsenal a couple of times, and you see the curation of a completely different attitude, because the team's there and the team are giving you something to cheer, but you're still not winning anything, and you have to win something.
I kind of want them to win something.
So do I, but I find Arteta at times slightly irksome.
Do you?
And so do you, if you're honest. Right?
I get on with him quite well, actually.
Well, some of the ideas of what he complains about, then, not his personality, because he does whine and bitch and moan and doesn't see things. And ultimately, we saw the situation last night when Arsenal played Newcastle. We see things that he complains about, which you kind of think it was the ball last year when they played in the Carabao Cup. It was the bleeding balls. We're not used to playing with these balls, which is why our forwards kept whacking the ball 50 yards over the bar, and that sort of stuff gets on people's nerves. And if you're honest, it probably would get on your nerves. If you want to stay in a good camp with him so you can interview him next time, then you go ahead with that.
No, we had a bit of back and forth last night, actually, over the schedule.
I think he's done a good job. I think he's got to win something, and I think that I think this season is a telling season for him. Not because I want
validation for the project as well, isn't it?
Oh. This idea of a project...
you would like to invest in a manager and not have to keep chopping and changing.
Yes, of course. But it depends what your blueprint is. You've now turned Arsenal into a competitive team that is no longer in a sort of managed decline, which was happening until Kroenke decided, A, he was going to invest more, and B, they got rid of Usmanov, right? And Usmanov put his shares up for sale for whatever reason he decided to do that. And once he got control of that and they put Josh in situ and they started to drive Arsenal again and stop thinking about it as a sort of arm's length subsidiary of American businesses and see it for what it was, Arsenal have prospered. But you cannot, if you're an Arsenal, and part and parcel, we know now that once upon a time, competing could make you worth something valuable. We now know that winning is also a big formula for capital value, because if people want to look at the value of Manchester City, they've won things. As a brand, they're building up to catch up with the Uniteds, the Liverpools of the world, and they're not far from it now because they've kept on winning. But it's winning that's catapulted their capital value. And the idea that Tottenham have got to a certain value, and then Lewis family have gone, actually, if we actually won a few bloody things, we could actually increase the capital value. Now, with Arsenal, it's wonderful that they're now a side that participates in the top four again, which is what was criticised of Arsene Wenger, and he's achieved it as a staple diet. But to be a successful football team, they have to win something. And Arteta, 6 years into a tenure, can't just deliver one FA Cup with someone else's team.
And he's a winner. That's what he says. He won the FA Cup, but he says he's a winner
With someone else's team.
and he's got a dog that he calls Win as well.
Or wine, if it's about players' welfare.
Boxing to come, and the knockout that is Spencer Oliver is on the way.